Hi, so in this video I'd like to walk you through the process of creating the local database into your Visual Basics project, connecting it to the database, creating a table in a database and adding data to the table. So let's get started. Alright, so from the previous video you would have pulled up these tabs here, the server object, this server object over here, and this server explorer over here. And what we want to do is we'll have a look at a server. Our local server is the SS. This is my computer, so this would have your computer name. These data connections are where we're going to create our databases. So what we want to do is we want to right click on this and we want to add a new connection. Alright, and what we want to do here is we don't want to connect to some SQL server. We actually want to create our own one in the computer, a local one. So we're going to change this and select Microsoft SQL Server Database file. If this doesn't pop up, then you haven't installed something properly, like a component is not installed properly, and that needs to be done before this thing pops up. So assuming that you see this, click on that one and go OK. Alright, so now we want to name our database. And how about we call this my database. My database. So I'll go my database for now, just as a test. Probably give it a better name if you have a project in mind. But how about local database then? Because local database example, we'll call this the local database. And that's pretty much it. We'll use our Windows authentication to log into this database, since this is going to be a personal database for our application. So no other application is going to be accessing this database. And we'll go, you could set your own username and password for it and pass that through when you connect to it, but I'll just use a Windows login. You can change this at any time you want. We're going to click OK. And it says, do you want to create it? User, that's probably not, maybe that's not where you want to put it. So you might want to choose where you want to put your database, where you want to put this database, so you can choose. For me, I'm happy just to put it here in a default file, default folder, and I'll know where it is. So for you, you might want to save it somewhere else. All right, I'm just going to click OK and create it. All right, so it pops up here. It's a .mdf. It's a server space database. And if you click on the arrow here, you'll see there's a number of little folders here. And what we'll do is we'll open up the tables and we'll right click on and let's add a new table. And let's intend this table to be some kind of login. So what I want to do is I want to create a bit of a database where I could log in. And also play around with the database a little bit. You know, I want to kind of produce a space where I can play around and just learn how a database works. So we'll make that for ourselves. But let's give a concrete example where a user needs to log in. So this is the database, and what we're putting in here, this name, is the database would have this is a table, right? The table would have some kind of columns in our table. And if I pull up, say, Excel, just to give you a demonstration over here, and we'll pull up Excel over here. Our table, this is our table. This table of ours. What we're going to do is we're going to store user logins. We're going to have maybe login ID. login ID of some sort that is unique, and we're going to have some kind of username maybe. Username should be unique, shouldn't it? That's okay. We'll have login ID. We'll have login ID and we'll have password. We'll have password, and our login should be unique, right? And then maybe the first login will be hem. No one else can have hem, and our password is pass. So that's what. And we can have another user called Happy44, and their password is hash maybe. No, sappy, maybe sappy. All right. So we want to create this kind of table here. So to create this kind of table and to add these items in, first you need to add these attributes. So this is like the header, right? This is the header. We need to add the two headers here, and over here this is where we put our headers only. We don't add the data, we just add the headers. So the first header is login, so we'll change this one to be login ID, and this ID will allow it to be, let me just make it a short one, short char 10 there, and char 10, and I'll explain more about the different data types for a database as we go. And for this one over here, I'm happy to just go password, and I'll also make it a shorter one in char there. All right, we won't allow nulls on any, and that's our header there. Our header. Now, after you've created that, oh, it's not happy with unnull. Sorry, we allow nulls then. After it's happy with that, make sure you to remember to update. So if you make a change here, update. But before we do that, we should call this table, give this table a name. To give this table a name, you go down here, you see create table.dbo.table. The name goes here. We'll call this login details of some sort. We'll just call it login details, right? And I like to use this kind of casing. Can't remember, Pascal casing over here. I'll put capital first, capital second. And you can see here, maybe I should put that lowercase d, naming convention. Yep, login. So this table is called login details. So we're basically mimicking this table. This table is going to be called login details. And then login details has two columns. It's going to have two columns, login ID and password. And then we're going to add these entries in there. We're going to add two entries in there. So before we add the entries, you need to update. So we'll click update. Just wait for it to generate its script, and we're going to update that database. And update is complete successful. Just make sure that's done there. All right. So you'll notice that you won't see the table here. So after you update, you need to refresh. So just remember those two steps. You make a change, you update, then you refresh. Update, refresh. And you can see here you got login details there. And what you can do now is you can right click on the table and you can show the data that's inside. And it should be empty. So if we show it, you'll notice you got your login and it's almost like an Excel spreadsheet here, where you got these two things, right? And then you got the head, the title of the table here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add these in, just exactly like what I did in Excel here. So we'll put hem pass, we'll put happy44 sappy. Okay. All right. So if I go back to the login, so I'll need to update that, update the data in there. you'll notice that there's a little key symbol here. The key symbol here means that this particular column is a primary key. What a primary key is, it only allows unique information. So for example, I can't have a repeat. I can't have the same thing. I can't have another one named hem. It won't allow it because it's not unique. Let's see if it allows it. So it doesn't allow it. It's not happy. All right, so we'll get rid of that. Oh. Right. Okay, refresh, and then we're out of there. Okay, so we've got happy and hem there. All right, so now that we've kind of got our table here, when we refresh it, it's all in there. We can now access. We can obviously create more tables, and we can access and modify these data tables via our software. All right. So that's pretty much what I want to go through this particular video, and we'll learn how to connect to this database and, you know, do operations on this database in the next few videos. See you then.